Hi, in this episode of Cycling 101, we're talking about cycling the back roads in Florida's hill country. I grew up cycling in South Louisiana, where the only hills I encountered were the levees in New Orleans, so I was pleased when life's adventures took me from Louisiana to Boston, where my daily ride to school was more interesting. Ohio was next, where I enjoyed the hills on the loop at Hudson Springs Park in Summit County. After Ohio, I cycled the foothills of the Appalachians when I lived in North Carolina. I cycled the hills along the Hudson River when we lived close to West Point, New York. And then I cycled the foothills of the Rockies when we lived in Colorado.
So come alive, wake up, sleeper. He is risen. We are risen with him.
The Colorado years were the peak of my cycling fitness, and in my long, gradual decline of age, the Lord has been kind enough to bring me next to the hills of North Georgia, enjoying rides in such places like Cherokee Bluffs Park in Hall County. My first impression of Florida was an appreciation for the ample paved bike trails along roadways and using reclaimed railroad beds. My wife and I also appreciated the quiet peace of 55 and over communities where motorists are much more careful around cyclists than on general roadways. If it's inconvenient for you to travel to one of Florida's improved bike trails, odds are good you have a suitable 55 and over community much closer to your starting point. But the improved bike trails and the 55 and up communities are very flat, which can make for monotonous biking when one is used to cycling being more interval training of climbing and descending at least gentle slopes. Well, praise the Lord Jesus, after a couple months in Central Florida, we discovered the cycling opportunities in Florida's hill country. I prefer to stay off the main highways, even though Florida's drivers tend to be more safety conscious and courteous to cyclists compared with drivers in other states. It only takes one driver not paying attention to bring a world of hurt at over 50 miles an hour. To find back road paths, I study Google Maps alongside of a Florida elevation map. An added benefit is that by toggling between the street view and satellite images in Google Maps, one can get a good idea of how much shade there is, and one can search out paths with a lot more shade than most of the flat, improved, designated Florida bike trails. For me, cycling, along with hunting and fishing and farming, is just another great way to live under God's blessing to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the birds of the air and the beasts of the field and the fish of the sea. Mankind was created to move about and to take notice of the wonder and beauty of creation. Personally, I notice a lot more at bicycle speeds that I miss when riding around in an automobile. Cycling has also become the main component of my fitness program, as joint problems have gradually eliminated most other forms of cardio for me, including basketball, tennis, and ultimate frisbee that I enjoyed when I was younger. Florida, with its heat and humidity and flatness, has its share of challenges for the cyclist. I am pleased that the back roads of the Florida Hill Country provide a more interesting option, most of which have available shade. Praise the Lord Jesus.
If you see what I see, that the grave is empty, then you know what I know. Anything is possible. If you see what I see, that the grave is empty, then you know what I know. Anything is possible.
Hi. suicide rates are rising rapidly. So most Jesus followers should prepare ourselves for a more active role in preventing suicides. We are on the front line since pros rarely get involved until a foot soldier helps connect people in crisis with trained professionals. E94.org is a Christian ministry dedicated to equipping the church to prevent suicide through free training of foot soldiers to prevent suicide through training, consulting, and resources. Get equipped to give hope and help and confidently refer people to professional counselors. Learn more at e94.org. Thank you.